Hi guys, I'm Stacey and this is your Sunday host. And this week's topic I decided to choose, and it was crystals because I am an avid fan of crystals. So my video is going to be like an introduction to working with crystals and tips. So this is stuff that I've learned from doing a crystal course, looking through books, and my intuition. So everything that you're going to find is like basically what I've learned myself. Yeah, so I've got a list of topics that I'm going to be talking about. So if you see me looking over here, I'm checking for topics. And yeah, I think we'll get started then. So I just wanted to do a few bullet points of how crystals are formed. And the first is hot molten magnet that cools and crystallizes. That can be forming crystals. Crystals can crystals can also be formed by chemicals dissolving in water. Crystals can also be formed by existing minerals that react with their environment and alter chemically. That's called oxidization. And minerals can be subject to intense heat or pressure, which alters their chemical structure. So yeah, they're like the main ways that crystals can be formed. So like the pressure of rocks on the crystals can form the way they're shaped and stuff like that. So that's that. So I'm going to talk about how to work with crystals, how to cleanse crystals, and ways of choosing crystals. That's what I'm going to start with anyway. So there are many methods of choosing the right crystal, I believe. What I've learned in the crystal course has like helped me amazingly to just like not just go to a store and look at one and think, oh, that's nice, I'll pick that up, because you've got usually a selection in a box of the same type of crystal. So you'll go up to a store and there will be like a box of like 10 amethysts, 10 rose quartz, all in a box together. So when you go, generally you go and just have a little root around, see which one you like best. I found really good ways of working with choosing that crystal in there. Some can be a bit, people might look at you weird if you do it, but I've just got a list here of what I do. And it's also good to ground and center yourself when you're doing these things as well. So it gets you ready mentally to prepare to choose what crystal you want. So I've got here a list of what I do. Generally, when choosing a crystal, my personal method would be scanning, which is to hands over them and just close your eyes for a few seconds and just feel what you can, anything that you sense, anything that, like usually sometimes I'll get like tingling feelings or cool, or something will feel really hot, and like generally you'll just know when your hand hovers over it which one's right for you, and then you put them in your palm and you have a little feel how it feels with you. Does it resonate with you? Do you feel connected to it? Ask yourself all these questions. Another way of doing it, which I personally don't do, but it depends, if you've already got the crystals, this is a good one. If you're looking to work with, say, treating migraines or something like that, and then you've got a choice of a few crystals that do like the similar thing, but you don't know which one quite to choose, it's good for working with a pendulum. I don't know if I've got one here. No, right, okay. So yeah, good for working with a pendulum and getting one out and just dowsing over your crystals, your selection of crystals that are doing the similar thing. So you'll have your dowser over it and, wait for it to see if it swings to a certain crystal. And then double check it, ask it, is this the right crystal for me? Ground and center beforehand. So then you've got a choice of what particular crystal you need for that certain healing or spell work that you're wanting to do. Also, when choosing a crystal, I would recommend, if you're doing it for healing, there's certain, if you've got something you really want to be directed at a certain thing, it's good to choose a point, if you will, or if you want something that's a bit more gentle, a bit more like soothing, then I go for a tumblestone. So if I wanted to direct the crystal's energy at a certain ailment or something like that, I would use a pointed crystal. And it all depends. Various colours, various sizes come into like how you're working with the crystals. Right, so also using when you're looking for a crystal, generally when I see a crystal, when I'm in crystal shops or events and stuff like that, I will look around the shop, and if something points out at me and it just catches your eye, that glimmer, or like a rainbow flashes at you or something like that, and you just know and you see it straight away and you go, oh, even though it might just be pretty, you're just like drawn to it, that's generally like a foolproof sort of saying, you know what I mean? Choose me, it's shouting, choose me. Even like when I've been in festivals before, and I've looked over the room and like across on another stall that's quite far away, you can just see one twinkling, and you just know that it's calling out to you. Like this one, when I got this, it was literally, it has got little rainbows and all the top here, and it just shouted out to me. So generally when a crystal's calling out to you, that's your intuition, you know, you go for it, you know, don't let it be, you know, oh, it's just my mind because it looks pretty. Sometimes crystals can choose you, which I found in the past. So yes, scanning I find a good one, just hovering over, seeing if anything resonates with you in the crystal. So instead of just picking one out of that selection, if you know what crystal you need, take time to, like, you know, hover your hand over and get a feel for which one's right for you. Right. Also, when choosing a crystal, one second. Where have you gone? Right. Cleansing crystals. There's different ways of cleansing a crystal, and I know people have been told in the past there's loads of different ways, some extravagant, some really quick ways, so I will be telling you them. Generally, I feel crystals need to be cleansed. All crystals need a cleanse every now and then. People say, like, you know, oh, certain ones don't need to be cleansed, but I feel every crystal has energy, you know, it's a big energy store. So I believe if it's been somewhere in the past, or you've, you know, just acquired a crystal, I believe that any bit of cleansing will do it good, you know. So in different situations you would need to cleanse a crystal. I would recommend cleansing a crystal when you first obtain one. So when you first buy one, you know, there's that situation where you don't know where it's been or who it's been handled by. So I would recommend cleansing your crystal as soon as you get it before working with it. I would also recommend, if they've been left on the out open, you know, in a situation where there's been left open in a room for a while and it's been open to negative energies, I would recommend healing it I would recommend cleansing them if they're being used a lot, like after they've been used for what they're needed for, or I would recommend, you know, once a month, giving them all a bit of a shake up and a cleanse. I would also recommend cleansing them very regularly if you use them in ritual a lot, to keep negative energy out. I would recommend, after you've been ill, if you've used them for ailments, I would recommend using them if they've been in a bad time or there's been a lot of negative energy in the house. Just, you know, like a spring clean your crystals. Also, when other people have handled them, I find, like, when people pick this up in my room and have a little feel and play around with them, and, you know, you just sense like someone else has touched it and stuff, and if they've had a bad day and they're messing around with it, it's so easy for them to collect energy and stuff, because I believe that they work on energy and vibrations, and they have, like, that connection with you. Then you don't really want other people's, you know, energy going into them, so I suggest cleansing them after someone's used them. Yes, so methods of cleansing. I personally, my favourite way of cleansing is if I have a crystal, like a quick way of cleansing, is using my chimes. So I would, you can see it there. I would get my chimes and I would go, and then I would just take it round the whole of the crystal. Because the sound vibrations is a cleansing, purifying sound that just helps towards cleansing your crystal. So that's a really quick way of doing it. I like doing that when if someone's just touched it, I'm like, oh, get off. So that's that way. Also, a cleansing bath. where you can, there's another it's sort of a quick way, it depends how long you want to cleanse them for, but running your crystals, depending if they're water soluble. Now I would recommend, if you're not completely sure on if they're water soluble or not, generally you can tell from what I've learned, if they have ite on the end, they're quite water soluble. So I've got a list here of ones like fluorite, angelite, malachite, halite, sodalite, rhodite, and lapis lazuli, turquoise, ivory, gypsum. They're all water soluble, so you get the sort of feeling, apart from the ones at the end, the ones with ite on the end, they're usually quite water soluble. Yes, so I'd recommend making sure you know which ones they are. A good way to work out if you're unsure until you find out the right information is give them a little scratch. And if they're easily scratched, which I'll talk about in the Mohs hardness, if they're easily scratched, I'd recommend just, no, don't put them in the water. So for water cleansing, I would recommend holding them under the tap, grounding and centering yourself, leave them running under. Leave them in your hand with the water running through the tap, and just imagining all the water like washing away the negativity. Visualize white light coming through the tap and cleansing your crystals. So about 5 to 10 minutes for that, I'd recommend. Some crystals can be left in salt water, but I'd definitely check up on which ones you can use in there beforehand. Leaving them in salt water or on a bed of salt is good ways of cleansing them. Incense. Oh, I was going to show you my incense, but it's just run out. So yeah, holding them in the incense smoke is cleansing, but obviously not too close to the incense so you don't burn your crystal. If you are attuned to doing Reiki, I would recommend cleansing and healing your crystals through Reiki. So obviously if you've heard of Reiki or do it, you would understand how you would go about healing your crystals. Another way which I do when I like to do a long haul healing and cleansing for my crystals is I like to leave them in soil or bury them. You know, it doesn't have to be like, you know, bury them in your garden where your dog pisses on and stuff like that. I mean, like, if you've got a plant pot with flowers and stuff like that, or if you've got just a bed of soil that's like pretty clean and stuff, I like to bury them in there, you know, not like go out and leave them in a field for a week. I mean, just in your garden or in a plant pot, just burying them in the soil is a good way to purify them. Putting them back where they came from, that's essentially what the message is in that one. I've also heard that doing them in holy water is a good way to purify them. Now, I have a list of places where holy water is found, which is the River Jordan, Glastonbury, and this place was written down, but I think it says Lourdes, Lourdes, Lourdes. So there's another place where the holy water is. Not really majorly clued up on that because I've never done in holy water. So yes, now going back to Mohs hardness, this was, let me just get back to it. Mohs hardness was designed by a man that was a German mineralist, and he wanted to work out he wanted to work out the scale of hardness in different minerals. So there's a list of minerals which I will tell you on a scale of like soft to like the hardest, and then I'll tell you a good way of remembering it. Well, it's not really that good, I'm not gonna lie, but it's a way of remembering the 1 to 10. So we've got talc as the softest, then we've got gypsum, calcite, fluorite, apatite, I can never say this word, orthoclase, and then you've got quartz at number 7, and then you've got topaz at number 8, and then you've got ruby and sapphire, which is I can't say this word either, corundum at number 9, and then obviously number 10 is diamond, which is the hardest mineral found. And then a way to remember this is, you know, like when you get at school, you get like a way to remember a certain list of things, and they give you like a fun little saying to remember, like each word means, the first letter of each word means the list. So we've got here, the geologist can find an ordinary quartz, Taurus. Sorry, I'm really not really good with getting my words out today. The geologists can find an ordinary quartz tourists call diamonds, and that's just all the first letters means the list. Generally, like, working out the hardness was just seeing, it's, you know, the way to find out how hard it is, like I said before, is like scratchability. That's what the Mohs hardness is. If it's scratched, the more it's scratchable, the easier it is to scratch. The softer it is, the more likely it's water soluble. So look out for that. So that's that. Then I have different forms of crystals. So this is different types of crystals that you can... Where have you gone? Right, natural formations. So you've got geodes. Oh, I could give you examples, actually. Maybe. Oh, I should have done this beforehand. So geodes is the, you know, sort of round circular ones that you'll see with the clusters inside. A bit like, I don't know how to describe it, you know, like a geode of clustered crystals. Then you've got clusters, which are just a bed of fixed clustered crystals. Then you've got single terminated, which is basically a point like that. And then you've got double terminated, which you'll get on both sides, which is direct energy out of both ways. Barnacle crystals, which is like smaller crystals, you know, like if you'd imagine a barnacle stuck on a shell, it's sort of like that's like there's a rock and it's just little tiny crystals all over it. Then you've got bridge crystals, which I haven't read. This is a channeling crystal that has a 7-sided face on the front of a crystal's terminated end. And oh, right, okay. I don't know what that means. Then you've got a phantom crystal. A phantom crystal has been recognised by its phantom, an image or of a structure of another crystal visible within the crystal. The phantom outline may be either particle or partial or complete. These crystals are useful for spiritual development. Record keepers, which I've only just learned that my crystal has, because at first I didn't know too much about record keepers at all until I watched Hibiscus Moon's video on record keepers, and then I thought, oh my god, I thought they were just cracks. I thought I'd just been fobbed off with a bloody crack crystal. But if I can just see this here, that is a record keeper, and it is one of the very uncommon ones, which is an upside down sunken record keeper, and I'll tell you a little bit about them. And they're really rare in amethyst as well. So it says here, a record keeper may be recognised by one or more raised triangles or pyramid shapes on one or two faces. Ancient wisdom and secrets are said to be stored within these crystals and are excellent for using for meditation. Then you've got twin crystals that are crystals combined together, like say 2 points stuck together. Then you've got slice crystals, which you're most likely to see in very common shops, you know, like on holiday and stuff like that. Just the slice of crystals that look like flat, like circular. And then you've also got crystal balls, which may be either natural or man-made, although I haven't really thought about them being natural and how they would be formed. It doesn't say anything. Oh, they're good for scrying. That's like the main thing that you associate a crystal ball with. And then you've got pyramids. Pyramids shaped crystals focus and amplify energy through their apex. They are often used to change and preserve objects. So again, points, good for directional energy. And then you've got donuts, which are like, as the name suggests, like a crystal cluster with a hole in the middle. So it's a bit like a geode, like you'd imagine a geode, but like with a hole all the way through it. And then eggs, which are mainly fashioned in a polished way, not natural. Oh shit, 19 minutes. So yeah, working with crystals, I'd say use your intuition when picking them yourself. You know, have a feel for what works with you best. Don't always go with like the first crystal that you find that you're looking for that has the properties that you need for a certain situation, spell or healing. I would recommend finding a few of them. If you have a few that have similar needs for your desire, then I would recommend, you know, using a pendulum or, you know, scanning to see which one feels that you need for that situation. I would definitely do that. For quick and easy, I would suggest using sound, like even a bell, you know, for cleansing. I'd use a bell for quick situations, and then personally for me, I would recommend burying them in a soiled pot or something like that for long-term purification. Yeah, always be careful on what crystals you use. Oh my god, 20 minutes. I don't know how I'm going to be able to upload this. Always be careful what crystals you put in water, you know, for bath rituals and stuff like that. Be careful. Always think about the "ite" on the end. Be aware of them usually not being the best crystal for using in water. And yeah, I think I've covered everything in fucking 20 minutes. So yeah, also keeping crystals apart from each other, that's what I try to do. I try to keep all my pointed and rough crystals away from my tumbled crystals, just because you don't know which one's like more like easy to break, and you don't want the pointed ones to scratch the other ones. I'd recommend keeping them in a box, you know, like the section boxes you can get. You can get them dead cheap online. So yeah, take care of your crystals, don't leave them out in the sun too long, and always cleanse them after using them in rituals and stuff, because you know you're leaving that negativity in what you've got out of yourself, basically. Also, I find a lot of crystals leave you when they've done their job, as I found when I went to Amsterdam, and I had a stone with me that was for awareness, making sure I was alright in situations that were bad, and keeping me aware of everything that was going on around me, because I found that Amsterdam's not a very nice place. So it did wonders for me. I was so alert on everything that was going on, and make sure that everyone was safe and stuff like that, because we were going out. And then as soon as I got home, it was gone. Literally couldn't I took it home with me. I literally put it in my bra the whole time, and it came home with me in the case. Then it was gone. Literally. Never found it again. So it did its job, I suppose. So yeah, that's it, I think. I hope I haven't bobbled, and I hope some of the things have been useful for you. Sorry about that. And I'll see you next week. Blessed be.